I'm Anil Kumar sharing with you an application question based on currency, the coins. The question here is Ria has $12 to purchase quarters and nickels. Graph this situation and use the graph to find the number of quarters and nickels under these conditions. So we have two conditions given to us: equal number of nickels and quarters, and second is number of nickels is 5 times that of quarters. Okay, so that is the kind of situation we are working with. You can always pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. Let's read the question once again, as we should do for any word problem. Ria has $12 to purchase quarters and nickels. When we say quarters, then we say 25 cents. We could say this as 25 cents, or we could say this as dollars, 0.25. So it is your choice. You can work with cents or with dollars. Same with nickels. You could say 5 cents, or in dollars, how much? 0.05, not 50, okay? 0.05. 5 cents. That is the value for nickels. Now it says Ria has $12. Now let's work in dollars. That would be better for us. So we'll consider dollars in both the sides. And we could keep nickels and quarters any way you like. So I'll do this graph of, I'll name this graph as quarters. I should say it's the amount. You see, $12 is the amount. So amount in quarters, we'll say amount in quarters versus nickels. Okay, so it is all about amounts in quarters versus nickels. So quarter is dependent on nickels. We will write quarters here in, since as we have defined, right, nickels. Does it make sense to you? And what we also understand is the total amount is 12. Total amount is 12, and that really means that the amount in quarters, let me write this as AQ, amount in quarters and amount in nickels, okay? So AQ is amount in quarters. So the relation here is that, let me write down the relation here, amount in quarters plus amount in nickels is equals to 12. So that gives you an idea. That's a straight line where sum of these two is 12. Now the last thing which we have to think about is the scale. 12, so we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not a bad idea. So let's do it $1 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So those tips are good for me. Easy to remember. So I'll join these two to sketch the graph of this function. So let me use green. Okay. So that gives me the relation. We have a y-intercept and x-intercept, which we are going to call as q-intercept and n-intercept, since nickels are here on this side, correct? And the relation, you know, is clearly amount in quarters plus amount in nickels is equals to $12. That is the relation. So this is 12, and that is also 12 for us, correct? So it is okay, so half of 12 is 6. So we are just saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is $6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6. So that makes our scale. Fine. So we have done the first part, that is sketching a graph for the given situation. Equation is amount in quarters plus amount in nickels is 12. Now, the second part is graph this situation and use graph to find the number of quarters and nickels under these conditions. And what are the conditions? Equal number of nickels and quarters. Oh, equal number of nickels and quarters. That means what? That really means that if the number is n, let's say n is the number of nickels and quarters, we have the same number of nickels and quarters. So how is the amount going to get affected? That means n times amount in quarters plus n times amount in nickels, that should be equals to 12. Is it okay? So when you are saying amount in nickels, then or amount in quarters, every quarter is 25 cents. So this becomes 0.25 n plus 0.05 n is 12. Do you see the equation now? Value of these quarters is 25 cents times every quarter. Value of every nickel is 5 cents times every nickel. That gives you an equation. Can you solve it? Yes, we can. Just add them up. So we get 0.30 n equals to 12. N is equals to 12 divided by 0.3. And that is 120 divided by 3, right? So 40. So we get 40 nickels and 40 quarters. Equal number of nickels and quarters. Do you get an idea, right? So for part A, we get 40 nickels and 40 quarters. You can always find the amount now. So in part A, let me use this part. So we got 40 nickels and 40 quarters. So what is the value? If I substitute 40 here, we can calculate, correct? So n is 40. So we have the amount as, let me do that. Okay, let's do it here. We'll use a calculator. So we have 40 times 0.25 plus 40 times 0.05 equals to $12. Do you see the dollars is the same? $12. Perfect. So still it works. And we have figured out that it is $40. So in quarters, how much it is? Let's do it. So when we say 40 times 0.25, 40 times 0.25 gives us $10. So basically it is $10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is the position. This is the position. Do you see that? So on the graph, we can actually calculate like this. Also, now the same amount is the equal number of nickels and quarters will result into this same number of because this graph was in amounts, and therefore we get kind of this situation. Do you get an idea, right? Now graphically, how could you find this answer? That is good to understand. Now graphically, we could actually use this equation, rearrange and find the answer, right? Here is the equation. We found that n is 40 and that gives us the result. Let's do the second part, which is number of nickels is 5 times that of quarters. So now we have, let us say, n quarters. If we have n quarters, then we have 5 times n nickels. Then we have 5 times n nickels, right? So it says number of nickels is 5 times. So we have n quarters and 5 times n nickel. Amounts. Now amounts will be, we have to multiply quarters with 25 cents, nickels with 5 cents. Do you see that? Okay. So it is 0.25 n for quarters plus 5n times 0.05 times 5n, and the total amount is $12. Does it make sense to you? Again, we have an equation with only one n, correct? So it is 0.25 n plus, when you multiply 5 times 0.5, you get 0.25 n, and that is 12. 0.25 plus 0.25 is actually 0.50 n equals to 12, and that gives you n as equals to 12 divided by 0.5, which is 24, right? So let's use the calculator to check. 12 divided by 0.5 is 24. Since 0.5 is half, that's why I got it, right? So that means we have 24 of each. Number of nickels is 5 times that of, that means n is 24. So that means quarters are 24. So for this, the answer is we have 24 quarters. So as far as quarters are concerned, we have their numbers we're talking about is 24, and the number of nickels is 5 times 24. So 5 times 24 is 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 2, 10, it's 120, right? So 5 times 24 is 120, correct? So we got the number. So when we see number of quarters, number of nickels, this is that much. Earlier, we got the number of quarters equals to number of nickels, and that number was 40 each. Do you see that? So that is how you could actually solve this particular question. So I hope the solution is clear. What you need to figure out is that if the number of nickels is 5 times the quarters, then what is the amount? Okay, so I'll write C for you. Find amount in both A and B. Do you see? So I've already calculated amount in A, but part C is find amount in both A and B, right? So that's an exercise for you. Write down your answer in the comments, and I hope you can do it without difficulty. Thanks a lot for watching. Feel free to share and subscribe. Thank you.